Welcome to SVCH Talks, where innovation meets inspiration and every conversation sparks transformation. Here we unlock the future, share cutting edge insights, and empower you to lead the way in a world driven by knowledge and discovery. Let's elevate together, because the next breakthrough starts here.
We're thrilled to have you join us for a day filled with insightful discussions, groundbreaking innovation, and transformative learning. Today, you'll have the unique opportunity to hear from industry leaders as they share their expertise, experiences, and best practices. Before we move forward, remember that you can obtain the micro-credential for this event. Just follow the instructions on our website. Don't miss this chance to certify your participation and learning. Now we're ready to start. Let's dive into the broadcast that our team has prepared for you. Enjoy it.
Cannot hear you. You're muted.
Welcome again. Sorry, this is live, and those are things that are happening like sometimes. But thank you everybody to joining this exclusive webinar with Hormos, and we will have a great session. As you can notice, we have some issues on the way, but at least the audio is working well, and we have a great presentation. So if you have any question or comment on the way, we are live, so feel free to ask any question in the chat that on LinkedIn or in any platform that where you are watching this webinar, and Hormos will answer on the process. But who's Hormos? And that's why we are so happy. He is a leader. He is everything. He worked for Toyota for 20 years in the US offices and in Japan. He has been consultant for 18 years, and he's founder at Kaizent. He's also professor at 3 major universities, including UC Berkeley. So with us, Hormos. How are you, Hormos?
Good morning to you, Alejandro.
Perfect. So let's start. Thank you, everybody who is joining. And here is Hormos. Feel free to ask any question, and we will show all the questions here, and Hormos will answer on the way. The stage is yours, Hormos.
Excellent. Thank you so very much. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. My video is frozen, so I will turn it off. Now that you know what I look like, I turn it off, so maybe it will help the internet connection. We want to talk about lean philosophy in general. And I was talking to Alejandro before the program starts, and I really want your questions to come in when they cross your mind. Questions are important when they come to your mind. I don't want you to wait for half an hour or so and then ask me. So anytime there is a question, especially practical questions, how can I implement this? What can I do with this? What is it good for? Why are you telling me this? I want you to put it in the chat, and we will answer. Now, the main part about lean is really 3 parts. One part is fashionable, is good to know the lean concepts. many people go around and they use Japanese words like poka yoke, heijunka, and etc. And they find it interesting that they know the concepts, which is okay. However, the better way is to know how they work. What is their application, which is customary. You're expected to know if you are in lean space. However, the best way is to know how to implement them. And that's a necessary part, in my opinion. In other words, companies that they hire you as a lean consultant, they expect you to execute on your words. Yes, you got to be able to train. Yes, you got to be able to lecture. However, if that is all you can do, you will not be very valuable to the organization or to the industry. So implementation. So have this in the back of your mind. Now, the reason I sit as a consultant is because I have 10 commandments of lean. Number one is thinking like consultants do. How is it that consultants think, act, problem solve, explain things? We will talk about it. And by the way, I have 10 commandments, and we will only go over 5 of them today because of lack of time. And the other 5, I will talk to you about at the end of the presentation. Number 2 commandments is that lean assumes, and that's a right assumption, that every system, every process has some waste within it. Every system. So you can never optimize. I know optimize is an engineering word, but from lean point of view, optimize means that it's the best and it cannot be improved any further. Lean says, no, you can always remove or reduce some waste. And waste is muda in Japanese. Now, why Japanese concepts and words are important in this context? The reason is the history behind it. When we say waste in English, most of the time we think the excess that we throw away, the food that we leave on the table and we don't eat, the material that we put in the trash can. However, when Japanese say waste and they say muda, muda has a definition, and it has 7 + 1 different types that we will go over today. Number 3 is a 4-letter word. It should be word in any kind of industry, and we will go over it. Number 4, which one is more important, lean philosophy or lean tools? Number 5, discipline versus dopamine. Discipline is hard. It has to be repeated. It has to become habitual. Dopamine is full of pleasure, gives you a reason to do it again. Discipline doesn't. Discipline is difficult at times. Number 6, metaphysics versus metrics. Number 7 on the 10 commandments of lean is the ever-going cycle that I will review today, which is very important. I really want you, the whole purpose of this webinar is for you, and I really mean you, to be able to use some, if not all of these things that we discussed today, tomorrow. And by tomorrow, I don't mean the near future, I mean tomorrow, Friday, March 6th. I want you to be able to implement some of these items at work. Number 8 is continuous improvement in a continuous way. Number 9 is always be value oriented. Can somebody tell me in the chat box, what is the definition of value in your opinion? How do you define value? What is value? And who decides what value is? Can you put it in the chat box so I can see? And then I will give you my definition, which is very simple. Everything I say today is simple so I can understand it myself. And there is no mumbo jumbo to try to confuse you. Remember, the main purpose is for you to be able to implement some of these stuff tomorrow. Value is whatever that customers are willing to pay for. That's the definition of value as far as I'm concerned. Whatever that customers are willing to pay for is called value. And if they're not willing to pay for, it doesn't really matter how much time and effort you have put into it. It's not valuable as far as customers are concerned. And value simply means what the market, David says that. That is true, David, thank you. What marketplace is willing to pay for. So in other words, if you cannot sell it to the marketplace, maybe you are not valuable. Maybe you are not creating value. And I just said value is something customers are willing to pay for. Exactly. So you want to be value oriented. You don't want to just do anything for sake of doing it. If it doesn't add value, you should question yourself. And the last one of 10 commandments of Lean, respect for people and building a culture. Those are the items that we have that we will talk about. We will talk about 5 of them today. Number 1, the consultant thinking. Consultants are those who make something out of nothing. They are analytical thinkers. They try to analyze things that happen to them. So majority of people take pictures of what happens. Consultants analyze them. That's the difference. Everybody says, oh, that was neat. That was cute. Consultants try to see what happened, why it happened, and what is the impact of it. They are critical thinkers. Critical thinkers simply means that they question everything. And everything they do should be measurable. So you cannot say, I feel good. Good is not a number. And you want to talk to consultants, you should say, my blood pressure is 135/65. That shows you feel good. Otherwise, if it's not measurable, it is possible that you are fooling yourself and others. Consultants cannot fool the customers. They measure everything they do. And if you want to deliver value, you got to say that I improved quality by 13 grams. I improved the cost by 22 inches, or whatever the unit is. You have to question everything and be able to measure your deliverables. The third bullet is value creation and being practical. If somebody tries to mumbo jumbo you, rest assured, he or she is not a consultant. The place that I live in San Francisco Bay Area, if I pick a rock and throw it, chances are good that it will hit a consultant. There's so many of them in this area. But if they are not practical, They're just lecturers. They just try to dazzle you. Consultants are supposed to create value, which means you will like to pay, you will be willing to pay for the value they create. And also it has to be practical. It means that you shouldn't take a lot of money and budget and time and efforts and engineers from other countries. You got to be able to do it with the workforce that you have in any kind of industry that you are in. Next, consultants make something out of nothing. They take butter out of water. They create things. They go to a place and they see how the layout can be changed, how people can work differently, how quality can be improved, how on-time delivery can take place, and etc. Any place they go to airport, they go to supermarket to shop, they go to Disneyland to have fun, they have their consulting glasses on. They see things that other people miss. And the last bullet, sustainment. Whatever consultants do, it has to be sustainable. If consultant leaves your place of employment and everything falls apart, he or she didn't do a good job. Consultants, the true consulting thinking should prepare team members to carry on long after consultant has left. Does anybody have any question about this slide? If so, please put it in the chat. Next, Muda detection. Muda was waste. Muda reduction and or Muda elimination. I put them in the acronym so it's easy for you to remember. Tim Wood, +1. The +1 is for non-Japanese communities, non-Japanese society. The Japanese people, they have the last one as part of their culture. The rest of us, we have to add it to the list so we don't forget. Tim Wood, T stands for transport, any kind of transportation, even though it's necessary, is Muda because it doesn't add any value and it takes resources. Waste is something that takes resources, doesn't add any value. I stands for excess inventory, something over and above what you need and you have it in the warehouse. It takes place, space, cost, electricity, overhead, insurance, theft, and etc. And it doesn't add any value to you. In a healthy economy, we're talking about. In some unhealthy economies, the more inventory you have, the more valuable you are. Understand that because the prices go up every day. As we have seen even in the US, this has been happening in the past 4 or 5 years. Prices are really going up 30, 40, 60%, sometimes 300% for some of the items. And however, in healthy economies, you don't need any inventory. You only need as much as you can use and you can sell. M stands for excess motion, when you move around a lot and don't produce any value. W is waiting for information, waiting for the bus to come to pick you up, waiting for material to arrive, waiting at the airport to catch the plane. All these times are wasteful. All these things are wasteful unless you use them effectively. In other words, while you wait at the airport for the plane to arrive, you can listen to an audiobook Then you turn waiting into value creation. The first O stands for overproduction, producing more than what you actually need, which is wasteful. Second O, overprocessing, doing something superbly well when it doesn't need to get done at all. And the last one, D, stands for defect, producing something that you cannot sell immediately. You have to repair it, fix it, scrap it. That is wasteful too. The last one that I said is good for non-Japanese communities is underutilized team members. When you don't train, cross-train, and use your team members effectively. In America, we think if we give responsibilities to people, they might leave. So we leave them alone. And we still see they leave. And the reason is responsibility, along with capability and capacity, is good. People will welcome that. If they learn how to do it, if they are competent to do it, and they are given more responsibility, they welcome that. If they are left alone after a while, they think they're adding no value, and that's the time they leave. In Japan, everybody knows 2, 3, 5 different jobs, or they have responsibilities. Any question about second slide? First and second slide. All right, so what do we have to do with this? You will have to have your Muda detection glasses on. So any place you go, you find out exactly what you can do to make it a little bit more effective, a little bit more efficient. Gemba walk. Gemba is another Japanese word, which stands for the shop floor, where action is, where value is created. Gemba of a restaurant is not the dining hall, it's the kitchen, where the value is created. If kitchen is orderly and clean and organized, chances are good customers will be happier. If kitchen is dirty, chances are good your food doesn't taste good either. You make mistakes as far as giving what food to what customer, and etc. So Gemba walk is going to allow you to identify the areas that you can improve, and they are wasteful. Problem-solving mentality, consultants always solve problems. They have 2 problems for breakfast, 3 for lunch, and 1 for dinner every single day, because problems are good. Problems are opportunities. Without problems, you will not grow. And then what do we have to do to institutionalize problem-solving culture? Well, the answer is you form problem-solving teams, and you walk around, you identify problems, and you put them to work. Number 3, the 4-letter word. The 4-letter word is flow. Flow. Any organization, doesn't matter what they do, in any industry. You could be a local bakery shop, or you could be a Boeing aircraft. You need to have flow. Stagnation kills. And we have 3 different types of flow. Flow of people, flow of materials, and flow of information. Anytime you go to any place, let's say airport, you see people moving around, they're going to the gates. Luggages and suitcases are moved around, materials. And then on the PA system, they say flight number so-and-so, gate number 39. That's a flow of information that you have to pay attention. If any of those flows are missing, or they don't move, or they are stagnate, something is wrong. If people don't move around, if the information doesn't get communicated, or if the materials don't move, there is something wrong with that scenario. And number 4, philosophy versus tool. Lean is a philosophy. Screwdriver is a tool. You can have the best screwdriver in the world, but if you are not a mechanic, if you don't know how to use the tool, you will not be successful. So knowing the philosophy, knowing the way, knowing the reason is much more important than knowing what Poka-yoke is. I know the latter is more fashionable, but it doesn't add any value. Tools are effective only when you know the philosophy. Philosophies are not sexy or fashionable. They're boring. However, they're lasting. Tools are more fashionable and shiny, but they're short-lived. What are you going to do with a screwdriver or pair of pliers if you don't know how to use them? Good thing about philosophies and fundamentals is that, number 1, fundamentals are just a few, as my late mentor, Mr. Jim Rohn, used to say. There are only a few fundamentals. They don't change, and they don't make any new ones. So if you learn the fundamentals, you can rest assured that they are not making any new fundamentals. So you got to be concerned about the person who says, I have a new fundamental made. No, fundamentals are old, and there are just a few. We don't have 1,000 fundamentals. We only have a handful of fundamentals. So if you learn them, you got them all. You mastered everything. Any question about slide number 4 or item number 4? I'm getting concerned if you don't have any questions. All right, next one. I go to number 7, the ever-going principle. Ever-going principle is standardization and Kaizen. Kaizen is continuous improvement in Japanese. Kai means change. Zen means good. Together, change is good, change for the better, and continuous improvement. As soon as you have a process established, you need to standardize it. And that is the horizontal line on the stairs. You standardize it, and as soon as you standardize it, and you will have everybody do it that way, you Kaizen it. And once it's improved, you standardize it again, because you always want your people to use the best possible way. And then you Kaizen it one more time, and you standardize it one more time. Everything that you do should be standardized. And what is the definition of a standardization? Standardization is the fastest, cheapest, safest, and best way to do anything. So somebody says the standardization inhibits creativity. No. That's not true. You always use the safest, fastest, cheapest, and best way to do anything. So as a result, as soon as you improve, as soon as creativity comes in, you improve. And as soon as you improve, you standardize it again. So it is not that you kill my creativity because you ask me to do a certain way. This certain way, number 1, came from you, and number 2 is one of the best ways that we can do it. Now, what are the next steps after we learn these 5 commandments of lean? I believe the next step is to have an assessment of your processes within your organizations. a joint physical assessment that we come in if you are in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, Northern California. We come in and do an assessment, and we will tell you exactly what areas you can improve. The second one, we will give you a complete report of what we find and how to improve and how exactly the tangible results would be. Remember, everything should be measurable. So we will never say, oh, your process will be a lot better. Better is not a number. We will always give you a number that you will improve this by 18%. You will reduce your turnover rate by 33%. We should always have a number to be measurable. 3, you will have access to another webinar, which will be interactive, that will cover all 10 points plus more in detail, and all forms will be made available to you free of charge. And that webinar, I think, will be, $49 if you attending this webinar today and you enroll today or tomorrow. And the last one is your organization might have access to State of California grant for these projects if you qualify. And the last one, if you hire Get Kaizen along with Silicon Valley, then the assessment fee will be refunded back to you. At this point, I would like to open up the floor for any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Hormos. Great presentation. I love the way how you present. I think that it like the right tone, like the all the flow of the conversation. I think that is really really great. So congrats for all that. I can see all the years of experience being consultant, professor, working in big corporations. So really, really nice. And
Thank
while
you.
everybody ask, write down the questions because also there's a delay in the broadcasting, so maybe it will take a couple of minutes so people start to write down the questions. But I want to start with AI. Like we in Silicon Valley Certification Hub, we help executives to adopt, to learn about artificial intelligence for their operations, for their work, so they can take strategic decisions about how to use it. So, in this order of ideas, I want to see how do you see that the team good plus one will, what are the main areas where you have seen that artificial intelligence is creating an impact there?
I believe the role of AI, if you combine it with lean principles, will be great simply because AI doesn't miss things that regular people miss because they are not paying attention or they're not thinking about it, and etc. And in all Teamwood Plus One acronym, in the area of transport, in the area of extra walking or extra motion or excess inventory, AI can very easily point it out to you that you are carrying too much inventory by 87%. And these are the items that you don't need based on what you are selling. And these are the items that you should not be producing anymore. As a result, you should not order the raw materials. AI will be able to do this if we put them together. And this is something that you and I have talked about, combining these two so lean can be utilized a lot more effectively.
Totally agree. Really, really nice. I have other questions, but so far I will show you these from Narges. She is asking if do we have a flow of energy?
Well, in a sense that we talk about flow of energy, and when I'm a positive thinker, you feel good to be in the same restaurant with me. If I'm a negative thinker, you don't want to talk to me. I understand that. But in terms of measuring that flow or being able to feel or touch that flow, I don't think is measurable yet. Maybe that's something that we can expect AI to do it in the future, to measure the energy that is really flowing. And somebody mentioned that energy treatment is a way that some people do. I don't know if it's scientific or not, but I certainly know some people who believe in energy flow and energy treatment from this person to the other person. So,
Perfect. So while other people write down the questions, I have another about standardize. You mentioned that is the best, safest, fastest way to grow to standardize processes. But how do you see the adoption of that standardization for the team? So they, like as you mentioned, they do not feel that are not more creative, that they are not pushing themselves and are becoming like just part of a process. Like, how do you see that the best way to adopt this change management for standardization of processes?
that was one of the most difficult tasks that I had to do when I started at Toyota. Because on one hand, you don't want to tell people who have 15 years of experience that they should do it differently. That would be annoying. On the other hand, you see the way that it has always been done is wrong. The fact that you've been doing it for so long doesn't mean it's correct. The fact that your parents have been doing it this way doesn't mean it's the best way either. So, in order to tell these people that we respect their 15 years of experience, however, we want to standardize the job to be done in different way was the most difficult part. Until I found out that I can do two things. One, have it as part of the culture of the company, culture of the organization. So, in other words, in this company, this is how we do it. And number two, which is more important, get them involved. So I will talk to this person. I will say, John, I understand that you have been working over here for 20 years. You have a lot of experience in this particular operation. I want to come in with my camera and watch you and videotape you so we can form a training program based on how you do it and whether or not we can improve. And only you and I will watch the video first before I use it in the training. And John would be immediately a couple of inches taller because of this discussion that we had. And John says, "Oh, sure, I will show you." And then we will watch the video together. Say, John, where do you think you can cause improvement? And John says, I think I'm walking too much. Okay, John, what do we have to do? If you give me a cart so I can have all my stuff over there, I don't have to walk as much to get my tools. John, you got it. I will buy you a cart. And this is how you standardize.
Perfect. Really, really insightful. Yeah, like to involve them in the process, to become part of the culture. I think that that's uh, sounds easy, but I think that it's one of the most difficult parts, right?
It is difficult.
Yeah.
However, if you have managerial skills, anywhere in the world you go, people are the same. People like to be respected, like to feel valued, and like to contribute. People come to work to do their best job. 95% of them do. That 5% that they come in to see what you have to offer and they really don't want to contribute to the system, very soon they will leave after they find out the culture is the culture of value. You don't have to fire them, they leave. Once they realize they are smokers, you don't smoke, they leave you. You don't have to tell them smoking is not good.
Yeah, I agree. Totally. And just to finalize like this amazing webinar and conversation, you mentioned about that tools are effective when the philosophy exists. So I want to ask you, like, what are one of the examples that work on this case, or for example, what is one of the most successful philosophies that has been relevant to adopting tools or for developing tools? Like, how do you see this?
Excellent. The philosophy is in the US, for example, when people make mistake, the managers say, John, you were not paying attention. Be more careful. That is the extent of the help that management can give to team members. John, be more careful. In lean system, in lean philosophy, when mistakes are made, the philosophy is that John was doing his or her best on a regular basis. However, the process was designed in such a way that allowed John to make a mistake. If I'm assembling these two nuts and bolts together, and this is the wrong bolt, is not supposed to fit in this nut. If it does fit, the process allows me to make a mistake. Therefore, from time to time, I make that mistake. Make it in a way, design it in a way that the wrong bolt doesn't fit. And then you can go home having a good night's sleep, knowing that the quality will be preserved. If you have that philosophy, then Poka-yoke or error proofing makes sense. Error proofing simply means that I make one of them green, the other one red, to either make it more difficult to make a mistake or make it impossible to make a mistake. If you don't have the right philosophy, you're not going to go after the tool, or you're not going to be able to use the tool correctly.
Really nice, because that means that there's no a problem on the person or individual. Like, it's not that the person make a mistake because he didn't do his best, but because there's a process where that they can improve in order to reduce those.
Correct.
Nice. Good. So I think that those are all the questions. Just if you can tell us a little bit about the what are the how they can reach out to you for the consultancy that we are offering, or if they have any question, or they want more personalized information.
If you show the first slide, please, I have my email address over there, and they can contact me or you. They have your email. They can contact me or you. The first step is for Alejandro and myself to conduct the assessment, and then we will give you a report. These are the areas that you can improve, you should improve, and this is the result that you can expect. After that, then we get the ball rolling by forming a Kaizen team within your organization. And we will define a project. We will get the approval from you to make sure that the project that we define is actually the main pain point of your organization, to make sure that we don't cure something that is secondary. You want to go after the top 20% of the problems. And then after that, we start working on this, and weekly reports will be given that these are the improvement, these are the bottlenecks, and these are the things that we are doing to eliminate obstacles and bottlenecks.
Amazing. Good. Well, thank you everybody for attending the webinar. The webinar also you can watch in the platform of Silicon Valley Certification Hub and LinkedIn on LinkedIn and also on YouTube, so you can watch it again. And please contact Hormuz or myself if you want more. If you have more questions, if we can help you for the assessment. And thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for this great webinar, Hormuz, for having like some time to talk with the audience here and see what all the students Berkeley and other universities are getting there.
Good. Thank you so very much. It was my true delight.
Thank you. Have a great rest of the week. Thank you, everybody. Bye.